Welcome to the Orthodontic Team Training PebblePad Induction. This induction is designed to guide you through the world of PebblePad and to help you with your online studies. Let's get started. We're going to start right at the beginning. The easiest way to find PebblePad is to type it into Google. Hit enter and you'll be greeted with this screen. It's normally the top search result, so tap on PebblePad right here. Once you're onto the PebblePad landing page, you can see the login screen, which is indicated in the top right-hand corner here. Tap on Login. You want to select the option on the far left because you're using PebblePad through your university or organisation, which is Orthodontic Team Training. It's going to ask you now to select your organisation. You simply have to click on Orthodontic Team Training and it'll send you through to the next screen. Let's have a look. PebblePad will now ask you for your username and password that have been provided by Orthodontic Team Training. Just enter them here. The first time you log in, it will ask you to change your password. It's really important to choose a password you can easily remember. If you ever have any problems and can't remember your password, please contact the course administrator. Okay, so we made it inside PebblePad. The first thing you're going to see is this helpful, user-friendly video. It's going to run through a few things about PebblePad, but you're probably going to know most of these because you've watched our induction. Simply hit the cross in the top right-hand corner to get rid of this. Okay, so we're at the Pebble Plus landing screen now. From here, you can get to any area of PebblePad, including Atlas and all of your study material. We're going to go through all of the different buttons and see what they do. Starting from the top left-hand corner of the screen, we can see what's known as the burger menu. This is a useful button that will allow you to navigate through PebblePad effectively. The two buttons next to this, PebblePad and the little plus icon, will both take you back to this landing page on Pebble Plus. The button to the right of this is Atlas. This is the virtual classroom and will take you off to a separate workspace. To the right-hand side of this is the button for Flourish. Flourish is a useful feature, but is not currently integrated with Orthodontic Team Training, so don't worry about this one right now. Further over to the right, you can see the four squares. This is the search function and is really useful for any areas you're struggling to find. Next to this is the History button. This will show you a list of all of the projects you've been working on throughout your workbooks. To the right-hand side of that, you have the Logout button. This is critically important. PebblePad requires you to log out each time you stop using it, which is really critical as we don't want you to lose any of your work when you close down. Back to the left-hand side of the page, we can see the user ID. This is your specific username, and you can also add a picture if you'd like to. Below that, we can see the two stores. We have the Assets store and the Resources store. We'll come on to a bit more of what that means a bit later on. Just below there, you can see your history and your last work done. As we can see, there's nothing here yet, but we should expect to see a lot of things in the near future. Next to this is an area to view your assets. Again, we'll come on to what assets mean in a few moments. A bit further over to the right, we can see the Get Creative tab. This allows you to start creating portfolios, pages, blogs, or activity logs. Just below this, we have the What's Happening tab and See the Things I Need to Know. This is really important because it will indicate if you have feedback waiting on your assignments or your workbooks. Next to this, we have the Learning Center. This is really useful if you need some help with PebblePad as they have lots of useful videos. And finally, we have Upload New, or Upload a File to PebblePad. This allows you to upload any type of file and to add it to your asset store. You'll be required to do this at some point throughout your studies. The final thing to mention is custom resources. This isn't something we're necessarily using at Orthodontic Team Training, so don't worry about this one for now. Okay, that's a breakdown of Pebble Plus. Let's have a little look at Atlas now. So as I said earlier, Atlas is your virtual classroom. This is where you'll do the majority of your studying. A brief overview. In the top right hand corner, we can see the little dashboard icon. This will take you back to this screen, Atlas's dashboard. We now have two other really important sections. Workspaces I'm a member of, which you can see there are 3 here, 3 example ones, and also resources. In the top right hand corner, there's a Logout button, which is just as important as it is within Pebble Plus. Let's go into one of the workspaces. Okay, so this is the workspace for the award in orthodontic nursing. What we can see is we have several tabs along the top of the screen. These tabs will guide you through the various areas of Atlas. You'll land in Conversations at first. Conversations is really important because this is where you're going to be doing your tutorials with your tutor and also getting to know the other colleagues on your course. Next to Conversations is Community. Within the Community tab, you can find all of the colleagues on your course and also your tutors and mentors if you need to contact them directly. Just be aware, if you do send a message through PebblePad, it isn't able to be directly replied to, so it's best to send your mentor or your tutor an email directly. The next tab across is the Resources tab. The Resources tab contains all of your guided learning presentations for your chosen course. As you can see here, we're in the Award in Orthodontic Nursing workspace, and you can see some orthodontic consent example guided learning presentations. The next tab is Submissions. Submissions is really important because this is where all of your submitted work will be. You can also view any feedback on your work from this tab as well. And finally, we have the About tab. This gives you a little bit more information on orthodontic team training and also the specific unit that you are studying. It's useful for finding out some more information about Atlas if you need to. Okay, let's have a closer look at the Resources store. The Resources store looks a little bit like this. You can see we have activities, action plans, achievements, abilities, and finally the workbooks. The workbooks are the critical part of the course. This is where you'll show what you've learnt from Atlas and demonstrate it in a workbook basis. Once you open a workbook, it becomes one of your assets. An asset is something that belongs to you, and it will be your assets that you submit for assessment. If you accidentally delete something, you can find it within the Deleted tab. Nothing's ever really deleted from PebblePad, so it's always recoverable if you do delete anything by accident. Sometimes within resources and within assets as well, it can get a bit crowded. So if you want to look for workbooks specifically, there's a nice workbook tab just here, which can just show you workbooks on their own. If you're really struggling to find something, there's also a useful search function, just here. Let's take a closer look at one of the workbooks now. This is what the workbooks look like. The most important button is up on the top left-hand corner, and that's the Save button. Always remember you are working in an online forum, and that means that anything that isn't saved, if internet connection is lost, could potentially be lost as well. So make sure you're saving regularly. The button just below this is the Contents button. This will give you an overview of the workbook and show you what work you need to complete. We also have various tabs along the top here. Let's go through them together. The activity log is where you'll store all of your unit's activity and where you'll process your hours to show that you've been studying hard. You can see several sections to the workbook here. We have what and why of records, when records are taken, how records are stored, and who has access and how. These are all tabs that will require you to answer specific questions and will show what you've learnt within your guided learning presentations. You can also see a blog. We advise you to use the blog, though this is something that's not necessarily marked or graded, but it may be useful to you, so please use it if you'd like to. The final tab on the far right is the Reflection tab. We find that reflection within learning is very beneficial. Just above these tabs, you'll see the I Want To tab. This is a really important button and will allow you to share things for assessment and also tag your work. We'll come on to both those things in just a moment. There's also an information button which will show you all the information including your progress on your workbooks. Let's have a closer look at the activity log. Okay, so this is the activity log here. You can see you have an hours target. For example here, this unit takes up 20 hours. For each workbook, you're required to demonstrate you've spent a specific amount of hours studying, and this is how we do that. Please remember to press the off button here and turn on search results, and this will help to build up your activity log. Let's take a closer look at the reflection. As I explained, reflecting on your work is really important, and PebblePad makes the reflection process very straightforward. Right then, let's imagine you've completed one of your workbooks. How are you going to submit it? You remember us talking about the I want to button? Well, let's press it. Let's go down to Share, and you should see a page that looks a little bit like this. You've got a couple of options now. You can share your workbook with people, or you can share it for assessment. Please do not share your workbook with the web, as this will open up to the wider audience on the internet and anybody can get to see it. Let's click on the For Assessment button. That'll take you to a screen that looks a little bit like this. Now it sounds obvious, but please make sure you're sharing the specific workbook with the specific workplace. This will allow correct linking of your workbook with the workspace and allow your tutor to mark things effectively for you. Once you've chosen the correct workspace, you'll see a tab that looks a little bit like this. All you have to do now is read through the terms of usage, tick the box that says to share for assessment, I agree to the terms of usage, and hit share for assessment. It really couldn't be any easier than that. Now we talked about tagging. Let's have a bit of a closer look at that. We need to go to that I want to button again, select tag, and you'll see a tab that looks a bit like this. To tag your work couldn't be easier. All you do is type in the unit name into the tag box and add the tag. You can see here the tag's already been done for you. It says AON 102, which is the award in orthodontic nursing, unit 102. Remember to always add your hours. This will help to build up your activity log and show the hours of study. The final thing I want to talk to you about is about uploading files. This is a fairly straightforward process. You can simply drag and drop a file to here, or you can choose a file manually and upload it directly to PebblePad. You will be required to do this for several of our courses, so make sure you're familiar with the process. And that brings us to the end of your induction. So again, thank you for choosing orthodontic team training, and the best of luck in your studies. You should now contact your tutor, they can activate your account, and you can get started with your study.